Hi guys, I'm Kolby.
And I'm Andrew. Welcome back to UNCUT, the podcast where we get to talk to Hawaii's creatives, entrepreneurs, and change makers.
And it is
Christmas week. Crazy. What a year,
so
huh?
crazy. Are you ready?
No, we just talked about how we're still shopping.
I know.
You have
it's
an
been
exciting...
like a more crazy Christmas season, I feel like, this year more than any.
And the year just went by so fast. I swear we were just eating Thanksgiving dinner, and then now it's Christmas week.
I know.
Do you have any exciting plans?
Not really around Christmas, but this is the big week that Hometown Legends premieres.
Oh, yes.
And I know we talked about it in some other podcasts, but this is basically a documentary film that Nainoa Langer and I and team put together, and we're putting together like a private community screening for the first time ever. I've never had like a movie premiere. So it's happening on the 20th and the 21st, and yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited. It's been a project that you've been looking for, and then you found this year, and then you've been working on it, and it's been amazing to see the progress, and I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah, I mean it's also like uncut. You know how it just kind of, it was an idea for a while, and then we just like executed, and then it happened really fast. Like I was thinking, we only had that conversation earlier this year, like in March.
Yep.
And then it quickly.
It was around the same time as the podcast, and then now you're premiering, and then we're wrapping up this season and year, and it's exciting.
It's been a really good year.
That's awesome.
How about for you?
I got married in September. That was a great trip. You know, just kind of get away. Honeymoon and whatnot, and not only was that great for me personally, you know, with Megan and whatnot, but then on the business side of things, it was cool just to, you know, kind of like a proof of concept that, you know, I can be away and the companies can run without me
for a long time.
Yeah,
for like a month.
Yeah, we were gone for a month, and I didn't do any work. Like I put up my laptop and I was like, nah, can't do it.
Yeah.
So that was nice. That was very cool. And yeah, just I think the big thing this year, not only did I get married, and I have another appreciation for like the wedding industry too, because like Redefined Weddings kind of just like got a lot of momentum this year. And you know, like for me, that's very special because I started in the wedding industry, and you know, I wanted to come back somehow. And it's been a great year, and I love the wedding industry so much.
Yeah, this year has really been like we're back after COVID, because 2020 was rough, obviously, for a lot of people, and then 2021 was kind of like climbing back out of it.
Yeah,
and then now it's like
boom,
feels so good to be back and at events and things like that.
Yeah, I met a lot of people in this awesome industry. You know, we're all like family here, and you know, like you know, I work with you. You became my mentor. We became friends, partners now. And we actually both know today's guest through the wedding industry as well.
I know. She's the godmother of the wedding industry in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Tanna Dang. She's the former owner of the Wedding Cafe, which back when we started, it was a gigantic thing. It was like back in the day when there was like expos were a big thing, and magazines, and we're just thriving. Like the whole community just like came together.
Yeah, we talked about you know, during the episode we talked about how like Tanna really like kickstarted like building this wedding community and industry, and it's so crazy how far, you know, how far she's evolved, because like you were saying, like the Tanna that you knew and the Tanna we talked to, definitely different.
Yeah, she was my business mentor. I mean, she was a lot of people's mentors, and she is so hungry and like goal driven. She's amazing. I mean, she is amazing. There's not many business women that I know that are as like clear, focused, work harder than she does. But as we find out today, she's a completely different businesswoman today, and I love this version of her.
It was very inspiring, and I can't wait for you guys to listen.
Tanna, welcome to UNCUT.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I feel like we haven't seen each other for years.
We haven't, because of the pandemic. I don't think we've seen each other maybe in like 3 years.
I know, but I've known you for like almost 20 years.
I know. You got taller. Both of you did.
Tanna's like, are you growing? I was like, I guess I could still be growing. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much. We're excited to catch up. So I first met you back in like 2005.
Yes.
When you're at the Wedding Cafe in Manoa. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, tell us about kind of your journey in your career. I mean,
so I guess my journey started, in the wedding industry. So before the Wedding Cafe, which is our first business that we had, I was a journalism major at UH. Let's kick it all the way back there, okay? So I was a journalism major, and I knew I wanted to be in Hawaii. I went to school at University of Oregon, transferred back to UH, and I realized I really want to write, and I want to be in Hawaii. But there's not a lot of local publications at that time. Mm-hmm. So I remember I researched, funny story, we kick it way back. I was dating someone that was about 10 years older than me, and I went to a wedding, and I was about 22. And at that point, I thought, no one's getting married except for my cousins. So you don't really go to a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. But when I went to this wedding, I thought, this is so cool. This is like Martha Stewart stuff. And I wanted to write about it. I wanted to caption it. I wanted to shoot it. I just wanted to be a part of it. So I researched every single local bridal magazine there was. And there was 3. One was on Maui. And I said, no, I want to be in Honolulu. I want to be close to my family. There was another one that was kind of like average looking. And there was a third one called Hawaii Bride and Groom Magazine.
Shout out to Julie.
Yeah, shout out to Julie. So I remember I sent in my resume. People actually had hard copy resumes back then. And I faxed it in. Oh. I mailed it in, and then
it was like, what?
And then I emailed it, and I was like, oh, I don't even know if they're gonna get this. And that was a Friday. Monday I followed up. Wednesday I interviewed, and Friday I quit my job, and I started working at Hawaii Bride and Groom the following week. So it was really escalated really quickly. I graduated from UH, and at that point I went hardcore into the wedding industry, just getting to know every single photographer, videographer, which video was still kind of new back then. Mm-hmm. Every single person.
And go back to the whole, your approach to getting this job, because that I feel like is such a unique thing that I feel like I don't see that. And when I do see that, it really stands out. Yeah. So, you're saying, you wrote a letter and went.
Yep.
You couldn't
faxed it in.
Yeah, you did all the steps, and you knew what you wanted.
You know that I had to find a fax machine at Kinko's too.
Pay and then
you did the research. Yep. I'm sure it was a super you had gone and done all the research on the vendors and the industry.
Yep. I did a lot of research because for me, and I think I learned this from an early age, and it carries to now, and I'm now 44. Opportunity is everywhere, everywhere. And the greatest gift that I saw was in the pandemic when we got to pivot, and we had to pivot, and we had to pivot again. I live for change. So opportunity is everywhere. And that's what I learned. So I could just go and I could have a regular 9-to-5 job, or I could really do something I love to do. And that's why I wanted to fight to work for the bridal industry. And that took me to the Wedding Cafe. The Wedding Cafe actually existed before. They were one of my clients in the magazine. They had started off. And I love the concept. I love everything about it. I went there on the weekends, and I would help them bus tables. And then when a bride would come in, I would just go and hawk her and just talk to her about a wedding, because I love weddings so much. And I wanted to learn, why did some people want linen and some people didn't, and some people wanted an outdoor wedding versus indoor. One person wanted a stretch limousine versus a party bus. I wanted to learn all about that. And the previous owners of the Wedding Cafe, who funny enough we work with to this day, they were more interested in the cafe. I was interested in the wedding side. So it was kind of this perfect marriage. When they decided that they were going to sell and they were going to move, I said, I think I can do it. So at that point, I was loving the wedding industry, and I was loving my job, and I was loving the magazine. But I remember they showed me the numbers and said, we really think that you could be a business owner. I said, me? No way. I'm 25. I'm getting married in 3 months. And back then in 2004, weddings weren't these glamorous 20, 40 people in Italy or somewhere really beautiful. Now, we had 420 people at our wedding. Yeah. And I would say those 420 people, we knew maybe 40 of them. Oh, everyone else was our parents, friends, and families, and that's just the way you did it. And we paid for everything on our own. That's just how it was back then. So I had no money, I had no business experience, and I loved my job. So it was really hard for me to make this decision. But through their coaching and through their guidance, they said, here's really where we think you can go with the wedding industry. So they showed me the numbers. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, but I said, okay, I'm going to show it to my trusty advisors, my dad, and my 2 uncles. All 3 of them said, don't do it. Don't be a business owner. Work for the state. Get insurance.
Get benefits.
Get benefits, right? You want long-term benefits.
Dad and uncles, were they business owners?
My dad was a business owner, yes, but they have all since went to work for other companies where benefits were the big buzzword for them.
Yeah.
So of course I did what any 25-year-old would do, and I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I went against everything that they had said, and now they're our biggest supporters. And through the Wedding Cafe, just fast forward, that's where I met you, Kolby. We had the Wedding Cafe for 10 years. We grew it. We sold it in 2015. We grew, and we are now part of Eden and Love. And it's crazy. We're 100% online. So we went from a brick and mortar channel to having a wedding coordination company, to having a wedding resource center, to adopting a village in Sri Lanka, to doing tons of different gives, to now just being centered and still and happy and content. And there's no other place I'd rather be. But I tell you, what I learned is that opportunity is everywhere.
Believe that. Yep.
Yeah. I love that. Back when you're doing the Wedding Cafe, it was like, I mean, this is when I was new in the industry too. We started our business in 2008, and it was like this giant, beautiful, amazing community that you created, that you curated and curated that beautiful industry. And there's no way that the wedding industry today would be what it is without the Wedding Cafe. And I think, I mean, for the OGs who are part of it, it was just like this magical time, you know,
That's
that
where I
we'll
met you.
always think about.
Because my senior year in high school, I was like reaching out to everyone. So I would like Facebook message Kolby, like, Kolby, please take me on. I messaged Kyler, messaged everyone at the Wedding Cafe, and I would always go and just look at, you know, the shelf with all the vendors. Look
we
at all their
hand-painted
stuff.
that.
So sick. And like, you know, I met you, Olivia, everyone there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's such a cool community. And I think that was like the biggest part for me. It was like the community aspect of it. And like till this day, I love the industry so much. And I always tell people like the wedding industry in Hawaii is like so special because it's a community, and you know, it's so small here. And, everyone loves each other and supports each other, and you created that pretty much, you know. And you
thank you.
From that to like the workshops and all the connections, everything you did so much.
Workshops.
The
workshops.
An event every week, a huge event.
Not a small event either. It's like a big one.
What was your big takeaway from the Wedding Cafe?
I think exactly what you hit on, Andrew, was creating the community. Yes, of course, we wanted a place for brides and grooms to come to find really awesome qualified vendors, of course. But underneath all of that is I really want to create a community. That was the one thing that when I went in, I felt was lacking. There was a lot of small business owners, but nobody collaborated. Everyone was scared to share ideas. And that to me is such a faux pas, because if we can learn to work together, we can raise the bar. I believe that 100%.
Elevate the industry, yep.
So I remember we used to have these workshops with one photographer, one videographer, one florist, one officiant every single week for 8 weeks. And it was torture because brides would have to come every single week to talk to one photographer and then the other photographer and then the other. So I said, let's just try to group it all together. Doesn't that make sense? And I remember there was so much resistance. In fact, videographers would say, I don't want to be part of the workshop. I'm going to pull out of the Wedding Cafe.
I remember that.
And at 26 now, okay, so it's like a year in.
Like, oh no.
It was really scary because you don't, I didn't know if that was the right decision.
Well, so what it was, say you had like 6 videographers, and so everybody would go up and show their work in front of the other videographers and all the
brides
and the other vendors, and other videographers. So that was always kind of scary. And I remember there was a videography showcase, the first one we did, where we had 2 videographers fight physically, like they were like yelling at each other. Yes, I won't say their name because we're recording, but I don't even know if they're still in business. But I had to take them outside, and I said, "What is going on?" But it was because this one videographer worked for another videographer before, and he used a clip that was actually his wedding. So I can see how it would get a little bit complicated, and that taught me a lot. But instead of saying, I know what's best, it was all about listening and engaging and collaborating. What do you think we can do better? Because here's what I think is going to be best for the bride and grooms, but what do you think is going to be better? So when you listen with that kind of open heart and open mind, only good things can come out of it. And I tell you, by the end, fast forward 9 years, the workshops were the best, right? I mean, it was so much fun, and it was calibrated, it was synced, it was intentional. I mean, brides came to book. And ultimately, that's why these vendors were part of the Wedding Cafe. But for me, the biggest goal was to create a community. I knew that videographers needed to pair up with other videographers, and photographers needed to pair. And now it's really cool because I can see friendships that have blossomed from the wedding cafe.
Oh,
And it's
totally.
really cool to see. And florists help other florists, and then wedding coordinators help other florists, you know, just with
Yeah.
their weddings. And
Just the whole community
That's-
aspect of it.
Yeah,
That's
'Cause
really what we needed.
There's so many weddings that are happening in Hawaii. There's like not enough videographers
Yeah.
to like service all of these couples,
Exactly.
you know. So, and because you created that community, like Kaylee, Eric from Imagine Works, like.
Yeah.
Like all of these guys are still my friends to,
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we would help each other out. So like you said, elevate. You're elevating. You're rising the tide for everybody. You know.
And you're helping the brides. You're
Yeah.
helping the future brides. Because
Yep.
even if I can't do your wedding, I know someone amazing
Totally.
who can. And that person's going to have a great experience. And that's why more people are going to want to stay and get married in Hawaii. And that is what is going to create the future for our children. And when you think bigger like that, only good things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I
feel
think-
like any industry too. You could see that
Absolutely.
being beneficial to
Yes.
any industry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it takes someone that actually wants to listen, engage, and not think about themselves. Because you really have to think about the bride and the groom, the vendors, what people want. It's a lot of coordination. So after 10 years for me, I was like, you know what? I'm good. Like I feel everybody is good and everyone will continue on. And
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. I
Next
feel at
thing.
peace
Yeah.
with myself. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
No, I love that because I think the big thing about that too is you created that change that everyone needed. I think everyone was like so comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you came in, created that change, and now everyone's like community. So
Yeah.
I love
Good.
that. I love that.
Good.
Yeah, I would say it's still like that to this
Yeah.
day.
Good.
Like
I'm glad
it's
to hear that.
Yeah, because I think it's been 14 years for me, but even there's been like newer companies that like started since then, but then there was already this like foundation that was started.
Yeah.
So it's like if somebody came in and was being very like hard to work with or difficult,
Yeah.
or being like
Kinda
too
closed,
protective,
yeah.
then the rest of the industry is like, listen, that's not how you do
Yeah.
that
We gotta
here.
phase you out.
Yeah. No, and I think that's something. I mean, it's still that way now, but so many years has passed, right, since the wedding cafe, and so it's like I almost feel like we're lacking that now.
Yeah.
There's so many new vendors, and
Yeah.
like I'm new. I would consider myself new in the wedding industry now because I just started the company. But it's just like I've been in the industry for so long, so I got to experience all of that. And
Yep.
it's like now as a business owner, I'm like we have no resource or anything.
Yeah.
like that,
Andrew
so
started.
Andrew started.
I'm so happy you're here.
That's a hint.
So we brought you here to consult on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Wedding Cafe Part 2.
We have an idea.
It's gonna be the wedding bar.
the wedding bar. Yeah.
Everyone grew up.
Yeah.
So what year did you start Eden then?
So Eden and Love started so when we were in Manoa Marketplace, that's where the wedding cafe started originally. We were there from 2005 into 2008. In 2007, we opened our second location at Ward Warehouse. And I thought it was going to be gangbusters because we're talking Ward, right, versus Manoa Marketplaces.
Yeah.
I remember we took about a month to open everything up, and we painted the door green. We had shelves. We brought duplicate binders, of all the photography stuff and everyone's cards. And I remember it was November 15th, and we opened up doors. And it was crickets. There wasn't even like 2 cars in the parking lot. I was like, where is everybody? So just having a wedding resource center with sandwiches and salads, and it wasn't going to fly to pay rent. It was a lot more expensive to be at Ward than at Manoa. That's when we started to bring in a few accessories. So prior to being in journalism, I was heavy retail. So luckily I was able to work at Town & Country, and I learned a lot about buying. With that, my sister and I went to LA, and we found a bag full of, literally, like we're hand carrying everything back because we don't pay for shipping. Necklaces, some earrings, a few handbags. And that's how we started. And people would buy a purse, say for $40. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, you made $40 versus selling like 8 tuna sandwiches.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, this is kind of working. Then we brought in one little rack of clothing, all solids. We didn't want any prints, nothing crazy, no details, just super like tent dress solid. And people would have to go upstairs to try on in our loft where we had like our mayonnaise
that.
bottles.
Yeah, all the
the tuna.
boxes
And then
there.
Bryson's like, no, you can't go upstairs. Someone's changing. And we would sell them a dress again for like $40. And we're like, we could either make 5 turkey avocado sandwiches or sell one dress. There's no waste, there's no spoilage, there's no real labor. I mean, really, what goes associated with food. So we thought this is really the way to go. So Eden started to grow slowly, really organically. And then it kind of became this mix, I would say almost a little bit of a battle, but that's where the opportunity comes in, where all of these wedding vendors are like, hey, what's going on with us retail? Because now we have like a small footprint for wedding resource centers and so much retail. But what they weren't seeing, which I was seeing, was that our brides became shoppers and our shoppers became brides. We decided to cross-pollinate our own audience, which was amazing, the synergy that we had. So a lot of people that were not even getting married yet, but then got engaged, already knew about the wedding cafe. So we didn't have to advertise for ourselves, and vice versa. People that were already getting married love the retail side, so they become lifelong customers of Eat and Love. So that's when we took over 2 spaces and we dubbed Eat and Love its own name, Eat and Love, and that was in 2009.
Wow.
I'm like having flashbacks right now.
I like slowly see it. Like,
So then we had 1 space, 2, we knocked on the wall, right?
that,
You
Oh
were
my
there
gosh.
for all of it.
Yes, and then we would go to the wedding cafe for a client meeting and just end up shopping and end up staying there for the whole day.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. So the
Yeah.
cross-pollination was there, and that was the opportunity that we saw having a retail store. But being in Ward, if we didn't have the retail component, we could not have stayed at Ward as the wedding cafe. We just didn't generate enough revenue to be able to do that.
and again, it took you realizing and seeing and seizing that opportunity.
Yep.
To,
You're like, honestly, like we talk about this all the
Yeah.
time. Like we're just like problem solvers,
Yeah.
constantly evolving and
Absolutely.
changing, new problems, solving
Absolutely.
new problems, solving. But you're like, honestly, when I think about like a mentor or somebody that I really respect and look up to, it is you. Like
Aw,
you are
thank
my
you.
Oprah for business, you know?
thank you.
Because just an example like that, it's just like, well, we want to be here. We think we should be here. We deserve to
Yeah.
be here. We need to problem solve. How do we make more money, basically, to keep this going?
And I think that's a really good point. When you say problem solvers, we are all problem solvers. I love problems. So I think that's one thing. When
always
you,
says that.
yeah, when you kind of get into the mind and you have that paradigm shift, like a problem, bring it on,
Yeah.
right? Because then you can create all the opportunities and seize everything there. If you don't have problems and you're just kind of coasting, if your mind is the same as probably all of ours, you start to get bored. And you know what happens?
Yes.
You create problems.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
start to pick
Yeah.
fights at people. You start to nitpick yourself, right? And there's no good in that. So I love problems. And again, that's why I go back to the pandemic was the biggest problem, but it was the greatest revelation for us.
Okay, so let's work up to that. So you had Wedding Cafe,
Yep.
Eaten in Love, and then sold the Wedding Cafe.
Sold the wedding cafe, right? Just
Yep.
like we talked about community. I felt I accomplished all the goals that I wanted to. Our roster was huge for vendors. We went from everyone paying in the beginning was $490 to by the time we sold it was $5,500 a year because we infused so many new value points, right? Our workshops were gangbusters. That's what I really wanted. I wanted a place that brides would know if I'm getting married, I got to be part of those workshops. So that was a really big deal for me, and community. That was the last thing. I really wanted to make sure I left with a sense of community. So after all those things were done, I felt, okay, I think it's time for the next iteration of me or of the wedding cake to come through. And that's when we decided to sell. And that was also a big problem because selling a business is not as easy as, selling an NFT, even though people say that's really hard, or selling something on eBay, or selling your car. It's complicated and it's messy and it's personal.
Yeah.
Everything is you. Everything
This was
is
your
you.
This was your first time selling a business,
Yeah.
first business, and first time in selling it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know anybody. Honestly, I'm sure I know some people who have sold businesses, but I feel like because I was part of the Wedding Cafe and like friends with you, it's like, oh man, it's intense.
It
Yeah.
is intense.
I remember hearing about that and I was like, whoa, like that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like how do you build
seems like-
something and then like
Separate.
you're able to like let go,
Yeah.
that's tough.
That was the problem. I couldn't. That was the problem. I think that was a real big thing for me, but that was the opportunity that I had to find, right? Is how could I learn to separate myself? How could I find something new to put all of my time and attention? Like I needed a new puppy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I need a new puppy or I would just go crazy. And yeah, that was another challenge that I had to face.
Okay, so after selling, you have that one boutique, but then you end up expanding to many more
Yes.
locations. So what was that
So what
like?
we did is we decided to focus solely on Eat and Love. Like Eat and Love was just growing so rapid. We couldn't even believe the way that we were growing. And we were just doing clothing, accessories. We weren't even doing our own custom, Heart of Eden stuff yet. So this was all just things that we would buy in LA, things we would buy at shows, and we would private label. So we were doing really well. So we decided at that point that we were going to open up in Waikiki International Marketplace, Las Vegas, which is our big thing, and then we had South Shore Market, which was moving out of Ward Warehouse to actually being an anchor store for South Shore Market. That was in 2017, and we really decided that we were going to focus on team, growing, leadership, mentorship, and then expanding through all these stores and these retail channels. So that's what we did. And we decided we were going to be really aggressive about the way that we opened. And that was good. We went on right. We completed all of our leases. But the challenges are always the people. Always when you grow that way.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
At the height, how many employees did you have at
Probably
Eden
about
Love?
50. 50.
That's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're not just worrying about yourself or your business partner, you're worrying about like all your employees as well too. So that's amazing. So how did you navigate that?
Oh boy. Okay. So what I learned, because there's so many, like that's like a whole nother podcast series that we're talking about.
Yeah,
We're just gonna bring you back as our business consultant.
People are always going to be your greatest challenge. And what I realized about myself is I cannot change other people. I can only change myself, right? So what I realized is I had huge hopes and dreams for people.
Yep.
And when I share it with them, because I can share my vision, people will buy that vision. And they really quickly, they want that, like they want all of that. But when they're actually doing the work, they're like, oh shoot, I actually don't really want that. Ooh, I kind of want to like sleep in on weekends. I actually don't want to work on holidays. I actually don't want to help that customer. I actually don't want to park in Waikiki. And that's the truth. That's the truth. But that's where, again, just like the Wedding Cafe, creating that community, you got to be open. You have to be able to listen and engage. So my way isn't always going to be the best way, but this is the vision I have for you of what I think you could do if you decide to stay with Eden Love. This is what I can offer you. Now, whether they accept it or not is totally up to them, right? And we have to do everything we can to retain really good people. What I realized though along the way is a lot of people, especially when I'm working with a younger generation, they don't know what they want yet. And they need time to explore. When I was picking them up straight up like 20, 21, 22, of course, because my idea, my vision is so big, that's all that they know. But they haven't yet explored. They haven't gone backpacking. They haven't traveled. They haven't been to Disneyland on their own. There's a lot of things that they need to do.
Experience.
They got to live on their own. And you realize, wow, they haven't had this experience yet. And that was okay. So what I learned now, stripping it all down, closing my stores, not having staff. There's 4 of us now, 5 including myself. That's all there is. I realized the mentorship will always be there, whether it's like this in a podcast or one-on-one with the team that I do have or with my sister or whoever it's going to be. But the me going one to many with 50 was not what I wanted to do anymore. And that was a big challenge. That was a problem because I opened these leases. I had these stores. I had all this inventory. Now, how was I going to scale it back? How was I gonna pare back? How was I gonna tell my new community of retailers and my shoppers we're not gonna have a store anymore? Because man, people want that store. They want to see, touch, feel everything. But when you're honest with people and you engage and you listen and you speak from the heart, no one can get mad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if they are, all they're mad is they can't buy your stuff in person. But here's the options we can do.
Yeah.
So that's how I navigated through that, was really figuring out what do I want to do versus what do I want to do for this amazing person? What do I want to do for this next person? Because there's a lot of amazing people out there. There will always be amazing people out there. But you can't, if we go to giving, if we're going to ever talk about giving. One thing that I know for sure, throughout my 20s and 30s, I thought I can change the world. I can change the world. What I realize is now, you can't change the world, but you can change your world. And that's important because our world is the world, right? So you can just focus on your world and change the things around you, and you will have the ripple effect on all the people that you are affecting. But when you try to go gangbusters and change the world, guess what happens? Nothing. A whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the truth. That's really what I learned.
That is the truth. Okay, so going back to Eden and Love is like this giant, everybody's waiting for your sales and lining up at the door.
Yeah.
For
Especially
it to
in the holiday
open.
season.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, your Black
I remember
Friday.
the warehouses.
Friday, yes.
So then COVID happened. And then was that already was it kind of the opportunity that you're looking for to scale all the way back?
So I had a weird year in 2019 already. I dubbed it myself the year of meh.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything was kind of coasting. If everyone can remember before the pandemic, before COVID, life was really good, right? It was fruitful. We're abundant. We're kind of fat in a way. Like we had good sales. We had good relationships. Everyone's making money. Like, interest rates, like everyone was kind of doing really good. So I knew that the world needed to shake up a little bit because we were just coasting. It was, again, to the point where we started picking fights or nitpicking ourselves because there was nothing going on. Where's all the problems? So here you go. Here's a huge problem, right? Now, COVID happened. Now, when COVID happened, no one knew what to expect. We didn't even know what we were doing. What do you mean we have to mask up? What do you mean we have to close our stores? What do you mean? I don't even understand who we are. Like, are we a store that can stay open or we have to? It's very confusing.
For everyone.
For everyone. So when we started to close, I remember the panic in my team. And I remember saying, I know what we can do. What we can do is we can go online. What we can do is we can message to our customers the truth. What we can do, and we started listing all things we can do versus things that we can't do. Because the whole world is focusing on what we can't do. But what I knew is the ship has sailed of us going back to what it was before. That's for sure. So instead of just waiting for a month and then waiting for another month to figure out when we can just reopen and go back to normal, what can we do to start to shift and to pivot and to change? For people like us, right? Pivot is like throw us in. We're like number one. We want to pivot. We've been waiting for this pivot. So we really started to pivot quickly with online sales. We thought we were going to go back and have our big Black Friday because our last Black Friday was our biggest one. We had it in the famous footwear space that was in Wards. It was like a 16,000 square foot space. So it was like a mini department store. It was crazy.
Yeah.
We rang all day just to put into context, we rang all day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. that night. And we had about, 900 sales, which is a lot because we're only 5 registers. At one point, we flexed up with some volunteers. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of inventory. We had people that stayed overnight from 5 p.m. the day before. It was 4 hours to get in, 4 hours to check out. Like it was a process. So at the end, it was our best Black Friday ever, but we were exhausted. It looked like we got looted after we looked around. We're like, there's like mannequins on the floor. It was
clothes everywhere.
Yeah, it was bananas. So, there was like no courtesy. So when Black Friday was coming again, the year of COVID, which is 2020, we thought, oh man, what are we going to do? Okay, let's open again, and we're just going to have a bigger space. We were going to sign a lease for the Borders, which is now that Kid City, Kid Zone, border.
Crazy.
So it was upstairs, downstairs. We thought,
wow,
everyone can social distance. It'd be super great. And then that second wave hit. That was September, and we shut down again. And we thought, man, we cannot be an Eden epicenter. We can't be those people because our customers want to hug and they want to be close and they're close talkers and we're going to be trying on without masks on. And we couldn't do it. It's going to be all over. Yeah, right. So what was the one common event? Oh, Eden loves Black Friday. That would be the end of us. So what could we do? We decided we were going to go 100% online. We didn't know what that looked like, what that felt like. We were literally rocking ourselves online on Squarespace. So we were like a blog site. We didn't even have.
Did you guys have online before that?
Very little, like 10 items. Very little. Yeah. Because we are a brick and mortar at heart. Yeah. We are in person. We service. Like that's what we do. So when we flipped, again, we made a list of all the things that people would love about us going online and all the things that people would hate. All the things people would hate. All the things that people hated, we made a list of all the things that we could do to flip the switch of how they would love it. And we said, we're going to sell these codes. We're going to sell these codes for $25. What we're going to do for $25 is we're going to get $25 of merchandise, right? So it's going to be this holiday swag bag, this coaster, which of course we're not going to lose any money off of it, but it's going to be swag for them. So there's value there. With that, instead of just one day, like a pre-shop, one day of 50% off, we're like, what if we give them 3 Fridays? 3 Fridays. Oh my God. We're like, but we got to spread out the sales. So with that $25, they got 3 Fridays before the actual Black Friday. They got swag, so they're not losing anything. We remember we put it on sale on our new site that we had.
Just the code.
Just the code for $25. We woke up at about 8:30 in the morning. We already sold 1,000. We're like, oh my God, we don't have enough swag. We had like 500 swag. What are we going to do now? To think of new swag. That was a problem. Throw me in, problem. So what are we going to do next? Keep selling. Unless don't stop it. Keep selling. Then by the end of the day, I think we had about 2,500 code holders. And we had to stop. We literally didn't have more than merchandise that we could give as our swag, which is a dumb problem to have, but it's a problem. So we thought, okay, let's not overdo it because now we need to have enough merchandise for these people. Okay, so day one comes. Remember what I told you, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., ringing all day, about 900 sales, biggest Black Friday ever. That first day comes where we're going online, and it was from midnight to midnight, which also was a problem that we
Yeah.
changed. Now it's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Midnight, all of us are up. We're like wired, like watching all these, online
Orders
things.
coming in.
Orders coming in. It's like, bing, bing. It's just coming in. Within the first 15 minutes, we had 1,001 sales. 15
Wow.
minutes
What?
of the first day. Remember, because they get
Yeah,
three
three
Black Fridays.
Fridays,
So
yeah.
you can imagine our sales that year probably tripled what we did on our biggest Black
Oh my
Friday
gosh,
ever.
That's amazing.
And we had less
That's
staff.
crazy.
We could hold our inventory in our warehouse. I mean, but then new problems come up, right? Because how are we gonna ship the shaka board,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
cutting board, and then the thumbs and the fingers were coming off, and then we couldn't pack fast enough. We just couldn't pack fast enough. I remember going away, everyone's in tears because it's just frustrating. We can't pack fast enough. We said, give us 10 days. It was like 9.5 days. Everyone's upset. Everyone's hungry because
Yeah.
there's not enough space for all the orders. And like I said, Bryson dropped me off because we had to take a big order. So the order is probably the size of this table. So, I mean, like he has to, put it in the big truck because it's just so big. And where do you put 1,000 of this size orders?
Yeah,
How do you
right.
pack it?
Yeah.
We don't even have enough bubble wrap. We didn't have enough. We didn't have enough toner. We didn't have enough paper to print. And
Problem.
but throw me in. You got a problem. And so team meeting, parents come in, Olivia, everyone come in.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the issue? It was space. We didn't have enough space. So there wasn't any problems. But how do we find the opportunity? And at the end of the day, how do we talk about it? That's another thing I think that we've always done differently. We don't just have problems, we share the problems. We'll talk about it on social media. We'll talk about it in emails. We actually launched this thing called Manic Mondays, where we launched the 3 things that happened that went wrong that week. So people could hear about it and know about it, but it's the resolve. But at the end of the day, we laughed like there was no tomorrow.
We just did that.
Yes. And that's the best part of it. But you have to be able to be transparent. And if that's going to be the space that you're going to live in, how do we lead in that space? If we're going to be opportunity seekers, how do we be the best opportunity seekers?
I love that.
Yeah.
So what did you end up doing with all the space problem?
Whew. So we had Eden elves that actually delivered.
Eden elves.
So my dad
nice.
would go and deliver in our white van, and he would put like those reindeer ears on the side and just deliver.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
all
your
the
parents
ones
are like the
they're
literal
the best. Everyone that lived in Hilo, my dad, he just delivered 7 orders in Hilo the day because he lives in Hilo part-time.
Right.
So he delivered there. People would just take orders. Naomi,
my
who would come and
God.
volunteer, remember Naomi from Lacey's on? She would take my kaneohe orders.
Are you wow.
That's
It's
the
a
crazy
community you
part.
built.
Exactly. That's always it. So how do we actually make it better? So now when we deliver, people have like goodies for us. And we're like, don't give us any goodies. Like, this is our problem.
Yeah.
But that's the best part of it. And we create all of these new relationships and people appreciate the work that we put into it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure if you're in retail, like holiday season is like it,
If it's not, you shouldn't be in retail. Like, that's your Super Bowl. You should be training
Yep.
for holidays all year round. That's what we always tell our people when we hire them.
So you close all your spaces, or all the leases were up,
Yep.
and then you
Yep.
just got a big space somewhere.
So I don't have a big space. I have a small space that we really we space plan to fit what we need. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay,
we
yeah.
have 2 at Ward that we have all of our orders and pickups and our backstock, and then we have all of our online stuff in one space. But it was really it was scary, and it was uncomfortable to close the stores because that's all people know me for and Eden Love for. But I knew in my gut it's what I needed to do. I needed to create more space and time and distance from things, from projects. I needed to do that for myself. I was too wrapped up in helping everybody and help solve all the problems because I can, because I want to.
Yeah.
And I can.
Yeah.
So if you can, why don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the more you do one thing, the more you're not doing something else. And I never knew what that something else was until I realized I've been married for 18 years and I barely spend time with Bryson outside of the business. So now when we travel, we're traveling for like a month at a time.
That's amazing.
When I traveled for that last month, when we went to Alaska, and I saw 2 moose, by the way, which is really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, on an electric bike, because that's not me.
Yeah.
I know, right? I'm a different person. When I came back, my dog was sick, and she's my 14-year-old Chihuahua. And then you kind of reset and realize what are things that are important to you. And everyone's going to be different. Everyone's answer going to be different. But I think in my 20s and 30s, I was revving up so hard because I had something to prove to the world, to myself, to my parents, to my dad and my uncles who said I couldn't do it, to everybody, when I realized nobody was like, you can't do it. I was the only one that was saying it to myself. So when I let all of that go, man, life just got so easy. And it's freeing.
I love that for you.
I didn't have to hunt anymore.
Yeah. Because you are totally right where you can do whatever, like give you a challenge, like Tanna will be the first one to finish that challenge.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, building this amazing community at the same time.
So, and helping everyone else.
But do you think that kind of identity kept you there longer than you maybe wanted to? Like that identity of being like this amazing business person, amazing community builder, problem solver, like, retail mom for all these girls. Like, do you think it kept you there? Like that was part of who you thought you needed to be?
I think that I was everywhere I needed to be for the exact amount of time. I wasn't just giving and being the mom and being the mentor. I was learning and I was receiving at the same time. So everything happened as it needed to happen. Everything happened. And I don't think I would be ready for this time of my life 10 years ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be ready to just be like traveling for a month and namaste. I wouldn't be there at 34. I wouldn't. No, I'd be on my like sneaking in my laptop where everyone's meditating, closing their eyes, and I'd be like sneaking in like
checking
an email and posting about what everyone looks like. And now it's like, I don't think anyone really cares. And what I realized is everyone really cares about what they're doing. And that's a good thing because I want you to care about your life and what you are doing. And then what can you do with the world around you? But we were so consumed with what everybody else thought. And that, I think, is what started to devastate our souls. Like it really started to eat at me. And I think it eat a lot of people when I feel like I have to be the best mentor. I have to help. One thing that I really realized is I don't need to monetize everything I love. Kolby, listen to that. You don't need to monetize everything that you love and everything that you're good at. Andrew, is that you too?
We are getting no money for this.
Let me.
Yes. That's really what I learned. Because I'd be like, okay, I love to write. You should write a book. Oh, I love to talk. You should start a podcast. Oh, I love to buy clothes. You should have a store. I don't have to monetize every single thing that I love. I can actually just enjoy something as a hobby. And I was like, I don't know what those are.
Why is that?
Because when you are a serial entrepreneur, you think you have to do this and you have to make money and you have to give it to the world, where I think what I realize is sometimes the world doesn't want what we have, and that's okay. It's okay. They may, and when you have that feeling inside of you that you got to launch something, go for it. But I was launching so many things that I was exhausting myself. And it was because I had this feeling that, but the world needs it. The world needs me. Truthfully, hey, we're kind of fine. Like, that's cool what you're doing and I like it, but no, I'm good. and that's cool. Yeah, but it's good. That's really something that I learned along the way.
That's so good. I feel like we need to hear that. And lots of people in our world need to hear that.
You do not need to monetize everything.
You don't have to monetize everything that you love. It can just be something you love.
You
know, and that's foreign to me. That's really foreign.
But you know it now.
I cannot just go to Daiso and find something that I like without thinking about how I can resell it. Like that's crazy, right? That's a sickness that I have. So I gotta just calm down. And I needed to, and I think just stripping a lot of things away helped me gain a lot more of things that I needed.
I love that. So what are some of the things that you are excited about now besides going on 1 month trips and meeting moose and riding your electric bike?
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy.
I know. I saw two. And at that moment, when I was freaked out that I saw the second one, my electric bike died. So that was even scarier. Things that I'm excited about now, I still love what I'm doing. I still love going in every single day and doing what I'm doing. I love that I can work with just my small curated team. I love that because as I'm seeking opportunities in everything, I realized with my little team, with Olivia, we have this Eden house now that we bought, right? And it's a beautiful home, and her family lives on the top. She manages the bottom, so we have 5 rentals downstairs of
Awesome.
these students, and it's incredible because it's an opportunity that I was able to give to her to live on her own, to be on her own, to manage a new project, to try something new. That was really cool. And working with her daily on that too. With Alyssa, it's this whole design side that she is now doing that has just taken off. So to be able to work with her on that and to create the foundation, the goal is one day Olivia can manage this house on her own, and maybe this is something that she would love to do. And Alyssa can manage this whole project of design on her own without me there. And just working with them on that is super cool. And it's something that we all love to do, and it's something that we can do just the two of us and just the two of us. It doesn't have to be one to many, and I don't have to show off or tell everyone about it. It's just something that we all love to do together.
Oh, I love that.
That's amazing. And
they're thriving too.
Thriving.
And Alyssa, I mean,
Yeah.
she was like your little.
I know, my little mini, and now she's just a me. Yeah,
She's just me.
She is, and it's neat because something definitely shifted in our relationship too, where she was always my mini, and now she is definitely my equal. And when we talk with each other, when we engage, even when we have lunch, I know it sounds funny, but she comes to the table,
Yeah.
no.
And it's
huge.
different versus like, okay, well, where do you want to sit first? And I'll just kind of sit around you because, do you have water? Do you have, and
Yeah.
that's how they are. Both of them are very much of service, but now they come to the table.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I
And
love that.
that's one thing that we do too. Every single day we have lunch at 1:00. So that's something I look forward to. I know that seems silly, but I make food for them, or they make food. And just the other day, I made like teriyaki meatballs in a slow cooker.
Wow.
I know. That's the thing. I got to do all these things where I want to care about them. And I want to show them that I care about them, because you can buy them luxury things and we can go out to lunch every single day, but there's something different about being able to really show up for somebody. You
Showing
know?
up, yep.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really look forward to.
In this series of like giving and gratitude, and it's like giving materialistic things or whatever is one thing, but like you're like really like you're using your knowledge and you're giving and you're sharing, and you're like the just the 2 partnerships that you just, or like the 2 relationships that you just talked about. I was just like, wow, like you shared so much and you were able to give so much, and that I mean, I don't even know how to word this, but it's just like I feel like that's like your way of like giving back to the world, right? Even like the wedding cafe, like the community you build and everything, but now you're like working with these 1-to-1 relationships, and that's amazing.
That's the thing I mean, right? About changing the world versus changing your world.
Yep.
Reverse, okay, 2012 to 2017, we adopted a village in Sri Lanka through Eden Love. That was changing the world. And that was great because we could really speak to that. That was our platform. This is how we as a community are changing this little village in Sri Lanka. But that had very little personal long-term effects. And I really wanted to make sure that what I was engaging in every single day had personal long-term effects, because that was the big shift for me. You can go out and talk about things that you're doing to change the world, but who are you trying to change the world for? Was it just to write a really cool social media post? Was it just to write an email with really awesome photos and video? Or was it truly because I care about these people in this remote village in Sri Lanka, which I do, but I have no connection with them anymore. So what can I truly do with this one life, this one 80, 90-year life that I'm going to have on this earth to make the biggest difference? And that was the greatest change for me. Is you really can't change the world, but you can change your world. And my world is Olivia. My world is Alyssa. My world is Karen and Roy. My world is, of course, Bryson and Chloe and my family. What can I do to change my world every single day, every single hour, every single minute?
That like is making me emotional right now. I don't know why. I'm just like, that is so beautiful. And that's like something that I feel like people maybe realize late in life, because people talk about that, like, grandparents will talk about that or whatever, but then you don't hear it where you have like all these years to really like cultivate this giving, like, you're giving your entire world, your whole entire life to these, like, this very lucky group of people who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That, and then their kids, and like that ripple effect.
Absolutely.
And then they're gonna be able to give to someone else, and
Yep.
you know, like you're changing your world, but then you're affecting their world, and then that ripple effect. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And like we talk about it all the time, like that's our goal too.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of like we both have teams and whatnot too, and like just trying to navigate that and figure out how we can give or how we can show up.
Yep.
That's a big thing. How we can show up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big thing because you can choose how you're going to show up every single day.
Yes.
Right? You can choose that. So, yeah, is it going to be a good day? Is it going to be a great day? Is it going to be an excellent day? Or is it going to be a terrible day? I mean, you can pick, right? Because however you show up is how your team comes to the table too.
Yep.
If I come to the table and I kind of give them a look like, well, what do you, wait, no, that's where I say, or what, of course, they're always going to harbor that and they're always going to feel fear. But if you can share and engage and welcome, it's like the Wedding Cafe community. Everybody comes to the table and there's a seat for all of you. And we may not all agree, and that's okay. In fact, that's the best conversations that we can have. But we can all sit at the table. We can all break bread together. We can all feast together at the end of the day. And that's really the lesson I think that I've learned through all of these businesses that I've had. And it is true that a lot of people will learn this later on in their life, but you got to remember, I started literally at 21, 22, like trying to get that job. Remember, right out of college, I didn't have the time where I wanted to just cruise and kind of figure out life. So my whole world has been about business and growth and involvement and engagement. And we chose not to have children because that was never in the stars for me. So all of these little businesses were like little kids. And as they grow up, I realized they're good on their own. I did everything I could for this child. You are off to college. You are not going to college. And that's okay too.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It's
everybody has their
do.
own path. Yep.
What I think is so beautiful too is that Bryson, every time, like, I mean, he dropped you off today for the podcast.
To go drop off orders.
To come back. To come back in an hour.
Oh my gosh, like the ultimate Instagram husband before there was even Instagram husband. Like the hype guy, like supportive, like I'm gonna cry talking about Bryson too. Because I'm just like, he just like loves you so much. It's so beautiful. Like, I mean, I would imagine it would be hard to be married to somebody like one of us that's like just always on to the next thing or like always thinking and, you know, like just doesn't ever like chill.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. You have to marry a really special person.
Yeah. But he has just always been like I mean, even with the craziest stuff, you know, he's always been like, okay, like,
What do I need to do? What are we doing? How can I help?
He's a really good foundation, and it's really important to find a partner like that, right? That is going to be the realist and can really keep us grounded, because I'll have these wild, crazy ideas, but he will be the one to say, okay, so financially, does it make sense? Long term, is this what you want to do? A year, 5 years, like what's our game plan in this? What's been really cool is through the pandemic, everything through our marriage has always been the Tanna bus, right? So whatever Tanna wants to do, Bryson will kind of come along and support and love that. And you're right, like the ultimate hype guy. But through the pandemic, he started to go and figure out new things that he wanted to do through that year of May. And he really got into real estate, syndications, NFTs, cryptos. Like he got into a lot of things that he calls arbitrage, so just selling different things. And he loves it. He found his own voice, his own space, and I think it's really healthy for our relationship.
That's awesome.
I'm so happy to hear that.
So he's
because now
doing
you guys
really
can
good
support
too.
each other and
Exactly. And we come together at the dinner table. It's not just, okay, let's talk about Olivia and Alyssa, which we love to talk about, but it's more than just Olivia and Alyssa, our two kids. It's all the things that he's interested and all the things that I'm interested in. And then when we come together, it's like, wow, I really like that, or oh, I don't really get that, or I don't really understand that. And it's really good. You know, it's really good. We've been able to watch the news together. We talk politics together. There's a lot of things that I think now, as our marriage becomes a little bit more seasoned, we can talk about versus just the outside fluffy layer, right? Because you don't want to get too deep. Because you're kind of scared of like what that person's going to say or how they're going to feel. And I'm kind of like already into this. And now, so far in the game, it's like we're really harvesting our friendship. And that's really important, I think, for long-term success in marriage.
Yeah, and now you guys are taking these long trips together and everything.
Yeah. And when it's just us, it's like, what do you guys talk about? Sometimes we don't. But sometimes we can't stop talking. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes it's just him. but it's togetherness.
Yeah, no.
And that's something we
that's
never
so
had
beautiful.
because it was always me, Bryce, and the wedding cafe.
Yep.
Me, Bryce, the wedding cafe, Eden Love.
Eden Love,
Me,
yeah.
Bryce, the wedding cafe, Chloe, Eden. I mean, it was never
Yeah.
just
Oh, that's
us.
Olivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Olivia, exactly.
Oh my
Oh, that's
gosh,
amazing.
That's so beautiful. How many years?
18. This will be our 18th
Wow.
year. Yeah.
Wow.
Goals.
That's
Fast, yeah.
Goals.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Fast.
Wow. All right. So looking ahead to 2023, because I know you're already in like 2024 probably.
Yeah. Yep.
What are some like things that you are looking forward to?
2023, I think I'm really looking forward to figuring out, this is the problem, the challenge that I want to try to figure out, is how I can even create more capacity for myself by doing less work.
Well,
Working
if you find
smarter, not
out,
harder.
Yeah,
let us
I
know
know,
too. Yeah,
that's
please,
everyone's thing.
I'll pay for that consultation too.
I'll give you an example, right? So through Eden and Love, when we do brick and mortar sales, there's a lot of one-on-one selling, working with customers, training a team, bringing in product. Since we closed our store in January, I met up with Carol, i.e. from Simply Home, and we designed a bag for her. And I said, would you be interested in carrying any of our products? I never did wholesale, but I think you would do really good with our toes. She goes, yeah, let's bring in a few. Since January, they have become our #1 wholesaler where they carry, thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And they have a huge real estate for Eden Love in their store in the very front.
not just
and
totes.
Not just
Everything.
totes,
Oh,
dish
wow.
towels, Swedish, like everything, the whole gamut. This holiday season was huge for them and for us, just bringing in things. And if you think we would have never had that wholesale channel if we didn't close our stores. So that one customer, Simply Home, is like our largest code holder. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how can we service that one channel versus servicing many? So my whole challenge is to figure out how I can continue to be one-to-one versus one-to-many in everything that I'm doing. How can I get more one-to-one? Because when I'm one-to-one, I think that I can be my richest, my fullest, and my greatest self.
yeah.
So that's my
amazing.
challenge,
awesome.
and everything. It's
Yeah.
like where is my time going? What's sucking at things? And what are things I don't want to do? And you
Yeah.
know the things you don't want to do. You
Yeah.
feel
Oh,
it, right?
yeah.
The things I don't want to do, how can I actually start to eliminate that without any guilt, without any resentment, without any fear? Because at this point, there's nothing to lose. There's only
Yeah.
everything to gain if that's the way that we see it. And that's the only way that I'm going to choose to see it. So what can I do? What can I do at this point to actually gain more time, to gain more capacity, to hopefully think of what the next big thing is? And if there's not the next big thing, maybe the next big thing is this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's life, because I've never really gotten to enjoy life.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
That's
really
so
good.
true.
Yeah,
That hit.
good.
Yeah,
That's
no, I love that.
2023.
Yes. That's amazing. We're stoked for you.
Thank you.
I know. I just love the involvement of Tanna because I've loved every phase of Tanna, every version of
You've
Tanna.
seen so many versions of
Yeah,
me.
but like I love this version the most. Like you're just the most you. It's so beautiful to
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
And it took all of those evolvements to figure out who me really is. I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I was still creating Tanna. In my 30s, I was trying to refine Tanna. In my 40s now, I think it is I'm comfortable with who I am. And that contention is really sweet.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's like there's no yearn for what's next, or no yearn to be better than someone else. There's no yearn to even scroll on social media, see what people are doing. There's just there's no desire. It's just, I'm so content with who I am in this space in my life. But I think it is because of all of these challenges and tribulations and pivots. And for me, it's the opportunities that I saw. And my God, I've had so many opportunities in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm a lucky girl. Like I have had a lot of opportunities. So at this point, if I coast, I'm going to coast till I die. And I'll coast happy. I will.
Yeah.
I'll coast
Awesome.
happy.
Yeah. You're just so like fulfilled, it seems. Like
I feel very full, where a lot of
Yeah.
people feel empty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad things that are happening in the world, of course. There's a lot of things that are happening in these last 3 years I think have come to surface. But I think in my life, I've realized there's a lot of things that have come to surface. Yes, maybe that were bad and it was really hard, but wow, what were the opportunities that we got out of that?
Yeah.
What kind of cool shit do we actually do? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of fun stuff do we do?
No, I love that you do the what can we do.
Yeah, always.
Because we know what we
Always.
can't do.
Yeah, yeah. We just want to, we want to just really love unconditionally, want to laugh uncontrollably, and we want to live like there's no tomorrow. And when you can do those three things, nothing else matters, right?
Yeah.
And nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That was a good soundbite.
Yeah. By the way, yeah.
Instagram.
What is something that you like practice that keeps you in the zone? Just being your best self and being able to be a great leader and present. Like, what are some things that you do on like a daily or weekly basis that keep you there?
Daily basis. Things that I do. Well, so I do meditate. I don't know if that's the kind of answer you're looking for, but let's be honest. I think, yes, I meditate every single night. And when I meditate, it's really cool now because Chloe has been not doing so good and she's had kidney failure. I have a hand on her and I have a hand on my heart, and that's always how we meditate. So I can actually feel her heartbeat, which is really cool. And that centers me, that grounds me, because at the end of the day, that's all that's important to me.
Yeah.
But I mentioned the 1 o'clock lunches.
Yep.
So those are things that,
And that's
if you
daily.
think about daily, yes, well, whenever we're all working, so probably 5 or 6 times a week, whenever we are together, it is the practice of giving. In my life, I have always created opportunities and abundance for people, but giving in this way is totally different. To be of service to other people is not something that I'm comfortable with. So I practice that because I'm not good at it. I'm used to people wanting to get me a coffee and this, but to actually do things for other people, it's trained behavior that I have to learn, and I have to teach myself to say, it's 12:45. I want my people to eat at 1, and I want to make sure that they feel that I care about, that I'm intentionally thinking of them. So I will plan out, like tomorrow, I have salmon fillets defrosting so I can make the salmon dish for them tomorrow. I've been looking up all these toaster
What are you doing tomorrow?
recipes.
What?
Yeah, you guys are gonna come over. I even practice this Brussels sprouts with potato mix that I'm gonna, and so those kinds of things I think are daily and weekly things that I'm doing to teach myself to be of service to others, because that's not my love language. And because it's not my love language, I don't know how to receive it, and I don't know how to give it.
That's so weird that you say that, because when I think of giving, I think of you. Like, honestly, because you've built giving into your businesses.
When
like
we
the
thought
way
of these episodes, we're like,
Tanna.
Yeah. I want to say something. I want to be really honest. When you think about giving, I think a big thing that I realized is, why was I giving? Was I giving for the fame? Was I giving for the glory? Was I giving to have a really good story to write? And that's a different kind of giving. So when you realize why you're giving, who you're giving to, everything shifts. And that's a big thing, right? Because a lot of people give, but why are you actually giving? Like, when you see people write these big checks, so what does that organization actually mean to you? They don't know. They don't know.
Right.
And when I was doing
photo
those
op.
things, I was giving out tons to different organizations. I realized, wow, I don't even know what you do.
Oh, yeah.
But you reached out for a donation, so I'm gonna do this because I
I'm gonna
can,
give.
because I can, right? But
Yeah, because I don't want to look like I'm not grateful.
but you don't have to. It has to make sense to you, and when it makes sense to you, and it vibrates with your soul, and it beats with your heart, everything is just in alignment. It is. So I know that seems like a small practice that I do, but preparing a meal for other people is very right? Like, what? I don't even know you.
Yes.
That's
Huge,
very outside of me. It's very, I'd cater a lunch. Let's all go to lunch and I'll pay for everything.
Yep.
But to actually be of service in that way, and not just to warm it up or to prepare it, but to think about it before and to think of other people, is something that I have to practice every single day.
That's so much deeper, because you can have that lunch at 1, but then you're saying, you're thinking ahead. You're like planning and prepping, and you want to show up.
I'm like sketching out what it's going to look like, and I'm menu planning, and I got to figure out where to buy things and when to actually, turn on the toaster and then warm this.
You have to,
and
time everything out.
Yeah, I got to mix it in the olive oil before I go. Like, there's a
my
lot of
gosh.
preparation, but it's because that's a way that I can show how much I love this team. And that 5 years ago was not me. 10 years ago was not me, right? I no problem catering, no problem taking everyone to lunch, no problem. Put it on my card. But it's not about monetary giving. It's about soul giving. And I had to find that within myself, because it's uncomfortable. I'm not a cook. And not only that, okay, here's the second part of that, having lunch with everyone. you got to sit at the table and you have to care and you got to talk. Normally, I can just be like, everyone eat. I'll be on my computer. Everybody eat. Oh, I gotta Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But to
yeah.
actually sit there and engage and ask about their children and follow up and remember, what did they say yesterday about their child that I can bring up today is a big deal. It's a big deal. And that's a practice. That's a practice. It is. It's
Yes.
just like meditating. It is. Because you are giving and you're receiving, you're giving, receiving, you're giving, receiving. And the more you're giving in a very intentional, strategic way, the more they're giving back to you and you're receiving that.
That's amazing.
And we are
Yeah.
all raising up together.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's forcing you to be present. And that's the whole point of meditation, right? It's like, it's
To slow
you're
down.
there. You're there with them, looking them in the eye, asking them, listening. Yeah, that's beautiful. I want that.
Yeah.
Lunch
No,
every day at 1.
Yeah, and it's not like a potluck lunch or where are we going to go today or what are we going to buy. It really is
that's amazing.
I'm going to prepare this for you today. So I actually have everything mapped out for the whole month.
Oh
Like, of
my-
course, with little tabs on my
Yeah,
calendar of
uh-huh.
what it's going to be, but that's important to me.
But it's just that extra step is like just another way of showing that you care and you're showing up and
That is
Yep.
not in my wheelhouse. That's important
Yes,
to say.
yes.
That's not what I would normally do. So to do it is my way of practicing. How do I give? How do I stay present? How do I give intentionally? How do I stay focused? How do I show love and gratitude for this team? Because you could cater every single day.
100%. Yeah.
I can get Young's
Eats.
I can eat Young's Cubby every single day, but which I love Young's Cubby. A shout out to Young's.
yeah.
But it's different when you actually take the time to think of other people, and that wasn't me 10 years ago.
And that translates to everything.
Yep.
Your business relationships, your personal relationships, everything. Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I'm like taking notes.
I
I'm gonna
know.
re-listen to this episode.
Seriously. I'm like, oh, I just want to be there. I want to be
Lunch
there
at 1.
where you are.
Hey, that would be a podcast. Lunch at 1.
Lunch at 1.
Yeah, lunch at
Well,
1.
we don't need to monetize everything we love.
Yeah, that's right. Shoot, I
Do it
forgot
if you love it. Do it if you love it. Do it if you love it.
forgot my own advice. Oh, that's such a great idea. Lunch at 1.
That's so good. That's like, yeah.
I feel like we could talk to you forever, and I like miss our talks, and we need to.
We need to catch up for sure.
We
We will.
Yes. We
Yes,
do. Yes.
absolutely.
But I am like, I have the most love and admiration for you.
Thank
like
you.
I always have. And like, especially now, like just, it's so beautiful. And we need more Tanna in our lives is what we
How do we
need.
share more of this?
Without you doing any more work.
Yeah. And the greatest thing is it's just speaking honestly, right?
Yes.
Everyone has a story and everyone has a great story.
Yeah.
But if people aren't comfortable sharing it, the goods, the bads, the ugly, the beautiful, you're never going to learn. We're never going to grow. But there's so much that we can learn from each other. All of your stories. If we said, okay, Andrew, your turn. Okay, Kolby, your turn. We'd all be like, oh my God, that was so amazing. But we have to be vulnerable enough and comfortable enough in our own skin to be able to go to that space.
Yeah. I hope we can do that more with this podcast.
For sure.
We don't really know what we're doing
this,
with this.
This
you
is
know?
such a special episode
Yeah.
because I look up to Kolby as, my good friend, business mentor, all that. And
Yeah.
then she looks up to you. And then, I've known you for a long time, but we never really connected
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
I felt like, I was so young back then, just like eager to learn everything and whatnot. And
You're
we never
still
really
young.
connected.
Yeah.
And I was honestly
Yeah.
intimidated by you.
What?
Yes.
Me?
Yeah, I'm just
you
like, oh
kidding
my
me?
gosh, Tanna's doing everything.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I still feel that way. Like I'm here listening, and I even texted Kolby. I was like,
I'm
Kolby,
nervous.
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. Sweating.
Maybe that's why I broke out in.
Maybe that's why. Oh my God.
No, but I was just like, oh man, like I was looking forward to this episode, and
Good. It's
Yeah.
good. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna
It's
be
a good
Right, yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I can't wait to share it, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to just have more conversations with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Lunch at 1.
Lunch at 1. Everyone should come. Lunch at 1. Tomorrow's salmon fillets.
Yeah,
Oh my
with
gosh,
Brussels
I'm
sprouts.
there. Booking my flight right now. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Of course.
We love
Of
you
course.
so,
It's my
so
pleasure.
much.
It's my pleasure.
And just can't wait to keep following your journey. So if people do want to follow your journey to Eden and Love on Instagram,
Yep. Yep.
Tanna really doesn't want to be like found. So
Yeah.
normally
Just
we ask
follow
like,
Eat It in
where
Love.
can they find you? But
Nowhere in Alaska.
That's it. Yeah, in Alaska with some moose. Yeah, that's exactly where I'll be. Yeah, I'm going to be in Amsterdam for Christmas.
Oh.
So you'll find me there.
Amsterdam
Yeah.
and Christmas.
gonna be fun.
That's gonna be
That's gonna be-
crazy.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So you'll find me in Amsterdam.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
Amsterdam.
maybe some kind of coffee shop.
Not doing work.
Not having coffee.
And not on Instagram, so we
Yeah.
you won't.
won't know, yeah,
So we
yeah,
won't know.
yeah.
Yeah, we just have to do a follow-up episode. Thank you so much, Tanna.
Of course.
Thank you so
much for
much.
having me.
Thank you for watching. So do all the things like, subscribe, and follow us for more content. Bye.